The war in Ukraine is at a stalemate. Neither side has made any truly significant territorial gains in months. And Ukraine's top military commander says there will most likely be no deep and beautiful breakthrough, as he put it. It's been 5 months since Ukraine launched its counteroffensive. Despite successful attacks on Russian supply lines, weapons depots, command posts, missile sites, and other valuable targets, miles of Russian minefields and defensive trenches are not easy to overcome, especially without proper air support. From June through October, Ukraine's armed forces were able to advance a little over 10 miles, falling far short of Western expectations. The bulk of the fighting over the last few months was focused along two main fronts: the southern front in Zaporizhzhia and the eastern front near Bakhmut. Beginning in early October, the village of Avdiivka, also in eastern Ukraine, became ground zero to some of the fiercest fighting of the entire war. So far, Russia mounted 2 massive assaults against the village, which had a pre-war population around 30,000. The assaults were typical Russian tactics: throw as much armor and soldiers into the fight as possible, kill anyone who retreats. The Institute for the Study of War says Russia lost hundreds of troops and more than 100 tanks and armored vehicles trying to take Avdiivka. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky told Britain's Prime Minister Moscow already lost a full brigade in the battle. Russian brigades have somewhere between 2,000 and 8,000 soldiers. Even though Ukraine's armed forces are holding out in Avdiivka, defending the village is coming at great costs. Ukraine doesn't release casualty numbers, but videos on social media show just how gruesome the fighting is for both sides. And Avdiivka, like Bakhmut before it, is a good microcosm of the war as a whole. Ukraine's armed forces are fighting valiantly, punching way above their weight class. But Russia has more soldiers, and based on Russian battle tactics, the Kremlin doesn't care how many Russians die if it means taking an objective. Valery Zaluzhny, the commander-in-chief of Ukraine's armed forces, says he can't believe Russia is pressing ahead after more than 150,000 Russian troops died in battle. Zaluzhny says the war is at a stalemate, and the prospect of a years-long conflict only favors Russia. The president of Belarus and staunch Putin ally, Alexander Lukashenko, also said the war is at a stalemate, adding both sides need to start peace talks and come up with a diplomatic solution. But neither Moscow or Kyiv seem too keen on that idea. At least not yet. Russia's Ministry of Defense says it's beefing up production capacity on military goods and just took delivery of more than 1 million artillery shells from North Korea. And Ukraine continues to find new ways to fight a much larger enemy. Take, for instance, this remote-operated sentry gun. Accurate up to 500 meters, the machine gun turret uses AI to increase combat effectiveness and can help protect troops from incoming attack drones. But smaller weapon systems like this will not be enough to turn the tide for Ukraine. For that, Zaluzhny said his military needs to take a technological leap forward. In an exclusive interview with The Economist, Zaluzhny said Ukraine's keys to success are gaining air superiority, breaching minefields, taking out Russian artillery, and training new reservists. Ukrainian pilots are currently training to fly F-16s, but Fighting Falcons won't be defending Ukrainian skies until the spring. So, barring any major breakthroughs on the ground or diplomatic resolutions, it's likely the stalemate in Ukraine will continue at least through the winter.